Nottingham Forest are looking to do the double over West Ham United. And will this be the final nail in David Moyes' coffin? Welcome to your match preview for West Ham versus Nottingham Forest. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a fantastic day and welcome to your build-up for West Ham versus Nottingham Forest. Coming up in today's video, we'll be talking through the predicted Forest team lineup. We'll have a look at the West Ham team lineup. I'll let you know who is going to win this match. And more importantly than that, I want your thoughts down below on the scoreline. Don't forget, guys, before we start, to hit that like button, subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And if you want all the members' perks, it's only 99p, so hit that $ or the join button. Tonight as well, we've got a showdown with the legend that is Lawless. We'll be kicking that off at 7:30. It's going to be 18 rated. The language is going to be colourful. And I'll be explaining to him and asking him the question of why are West Ham so bad? Let's get into the video and let's start. I am so looking forward to this game. There are so many subplots, so many interesting storylines developing and bubbling underneath. And of course, it starts with Jesse Lingard, doesn't it? I take you guys back to the summer where Forest landed the coup over West Ham on Jesse Lingard, and TalkSport and the media, Richard Keys, all those other idiots lost their minds that Jesse Lingard chose Nottingham Forest over West Ham. How could they go? How could he go, they said, to a relegation-stricken team? West Ham would have been a better fit for him, looking for European spots, etc., etc. Well, let me just remind you, Forest are ahead of West Ham in the league table. If we beat them today, tomorrow, Saturday even, we will put that final nail in David Moyes' coffin. It is really interesting. We've already sacked Ted Lasso from Leeds. We'll already be looking at sacking another manager in Dave Moyes if he loses this, because that is the rumour that's flying around. But the rumour is it has to be a good tonking for him to go. West Ham right now are in the worst space they've been all season. The fan base is toxic. The players look like they're not playing for the manager. And David Moyes looks like the arse end of a rhino with the amount of wrinkles he's got on his face. But they are still holding on to him because he's brought them European glory in the Conference League, that they're still in there, that they got to the semi-finals against Lyon last year. They're still holding on to the fact that he has something that he can offer them from a board level perspective. From the fan base, they want him out. And from our perspective, we want him in. Keep them below Nottingham Forest. Now, the question is Jesse Lingard fit for the match? Rumours are that he will be in the squad. I don't think he will start, but maybe he comes on and has a say during the match against his former club, where he went out on loan while he was at Manchester United. So, loads of subplots going on. Forest as well can put some real daylight between themselves and West Ham with a win. And the key for me on this match is going to be how the crowd reacts. If Forest can get ahead, maybe score an early goal. I know it's rare away from home, but if they really focus on that, or at least frustrating West Ham for the first half, making sure that, they can't get through our brick wall defense, then the crowd are probably going to turn quite quickly. They are right on the edge of exploding at the moment. And I really think one goal could set off riots in that renter council house stadium of theirs. So that for me is going to be the key. But how are we going to achieve this, and what's the team that we're going to be putting together? Let's have a quick look at it now. Okay, so what team do I think Cooper's going to go for? Well, I'll start with the formation. I think we're going to see a revert back to a 4-3-3 away from home. Potentially a false 9 coming back in as well. For sure, I'm very confident about the back five. I think Navas will be in goal. With Aurier out, I expect Williams to come in to deputise for him at right back. Worrell and Felipe are the only two fit centre-backs. So until Niakate, who is getting very close, comes back in, That will be our pairing. And then you got Lodi at left back. That much I'm confident about. The midfield is where it gets interesting. You could have a combo of 3 or 4 different types. Now, there's a lot of crap going on, again, on social media about Ryan Yates and having a transplant and a pacemaker put in and all this stuff as a heart transplant. Again, for those of you wondering, our stance is quite simple. When rumors are flying around like this about people's health, we don't want to get involved. So I don't really want to participate in those rumors. But what I will say is Ryan Yates is back in training. I don't think he will start this game. I think he'll be used more so in the Everton match. But you never know. You never know. I would also say don't believe everything you are hearing on social media. Just wait on this one until the club comes out and makes an official statement on it. So with that in mind, I think Ryan Yates is probably going to be on the bench or not at all in the squad. And I think we will see that 3 combo that we saw against Manchester City, with Colback being dropped so that we're 3 in midfield rather than 4. And I think it'll be Freuler, Danilo and Shelvey. Now you could make a case that Danilo may be dropped from Mangala. That could be another option. But whatever combo you do, I think it will be the 3 in the middle that Steve Cooper goes with, just to block out and add an extra body in there. Where it gets interesting is in the front 3. Now, you may see I've put Scarpa into the team. I feel like he hasn't played for the last 1 or 2 games, and I think Cooper may be building up his fitness or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Scarpa in. It could be Lingard, but I don't think Lingard is fit enough yet to start a match. And then on the right-hand side will obviously be Jono. And then Morgan Gibbs-White may play in that false 9 position where he just drops back in to add an extra body. Basically, that's what a false 9 is. And then plays into that attacking position through the middle. Now, if that's not something Cooper's going to go with, what he may do is drop Scarpa and put in Wood. And then what you would have is a 4-3-1-2. Even though it wouldn't really be a 4-3-1-2 because Wood would play up front, or what he tends to do is sit very close to the cam, and then Jono would play down the right-hand side. Again, if we did that, what we would do is be neglecting the left side of the pitch and focusing our attack down the right-hand side. It's quite funny that a lot of teams aren't picking up on this. You saw that Pep didn't bother with it and kept Bernardo Silva at left-back when they came to the City ground. But potentially you may see a repeat of those tactics again if he chooses to go with Chris Wood. But for me, I think a 4-3-3 with a false 9 may be the way he goes, because Chris Wood seems to have played better as an impact sub, as we saw against Man City, rather than a starter. It's a hard one to predict, this one, but I think I'm not going to be a million miles off with this team formation. Unless, of course, the Magic Sponges come out and Niakate is fit and can replace Worrell. I'd be very surprised. I think this is the team we're going to go with. The only other one you could question is maybe Shelvey's fitness still. Remember, he did sign for us, carrying an injury. And although started in the last game against Manchester City, was substituted off. But his fitness should be building and should be developing. So maybe potentially Shelvey should start. I'd be surprised to not see him in the team. And then, of course, Freuler is a mainstay for Cooper, who seems to really admire and like what he does on the pitch. And the rest of the team, I don't think I'll be a million miles off. But do you guys agree or disagree with this team selection? And what would you go with? Let me know down below. Moving on to the West Ham team, and this could get quite interesting. David Moyes seems to have adapted a 3-back formation. When they came to the City ground earlier on in the season, and let me remind you, we beat them, they played with a back 4. Now, West Ham have been in atrocious form, struggling to win, struggling to do much. They've picked up a couple of respectable draws against the likes of Newcastle and Chelsea, but overall seem to be struggling to get any type of momentum or any type of dubs in the win column. Where they have been struggling is with their scoring. Now, Bowen is meant to be injured, but there's been rumours that he's been past fit and should make the game. And for us, that's not a bad thing because his form has been pretty atrocious as of late. Antonio doesn't seem to be able to score full stop at the moment. And then on the left-hand side, what surprised me is they haven't used Ben Rahma, who I think has probably been one of their better players this season. And I've just got a sneaky feeling he may be chucked back in. to add a bit of creativity into their attacking lineup, and probably on the left-hand side there. In terms of the middle two, Rice and Souček have not been the first choice team. Paqueta has been the one, their big summer signing, a player that I actually think is top-notch quality. But he was used wrong for a very long time at West Ham and was played almost in a 10 when he is more of a box-to-box player. Slowly but surely, David the Dinosaur figured that out and put him in at the 8, replacing Souček, I think, and pairing him up alongside with Rice. Now, he's picked up a knock and has been out for a week or so for West Ham. Again, there is talks that he is 50-50 for this game. I don't think he would be chucked straight back in, but keep an eye out for that. If he is put back in, it would probably be to replace Souček, but outside of that, if not, it would be the Souček-Rice combo in the middle. This is a combo that has worked really well for West Ham traditionally, but this season it's not doing good at all. You got Pudding Rice, who basically has done nothing this year apart from missing the penalty at the City ground. So it could be interesting if they go for this 3-5, whatever you want to call it, 3-4-3 formation. What you may find is that we get to outman them in the midfield, especially if we go for the 3. And that's part of the reason why I've put Forest in the 4-3-3 formation, because we can get more bodies into that midfield against Souček and Rice. Now, in terms of their defense, it's not the greatest. It's not the greatest. Aguerd, or however you pronounce his name, for me, has probably been the one who's impressed the most. But outside of that, their defense can be got at. And especially if we've got some pace, it could be an interesting game. But that's the predicted lineup I've gone for. Just keep an eye out for Paqueta and Bowen, as they may or not be past fit for this game. But let me know what your thoughts are on the West Ham team. And are there any players in there that you're scared of? As I mentioned earlier, there's so many connotations to this game. So many. You know, half an El Sacco, if you like. Because if West Ham lose to Nottingham Forest, the fan base will get more toxic than it already is, if that's even possible. And West Ham will find themselves in one hell of a relegation battle, and Forest will find themselves comfortably clear of them. This is a huge 10 days for Nottingham Forest, playing West Ham away and then Everton at home. It's good if Forest could pull off 6 points from these 2 games. Then party time, guys. Party time indeed, because it's upwards and onwards. It won't be looking over our shoulder. We'll be looking up that pitch. Remember, we're only like 5 or 6 points behind Chelsea right now. And if things carry on as they are, if form dictates, and Forest could be ahead of Chelsea, who the hell would have thought that at the start of the season? So look, you've got that. You've got the Jesse Lingard scenario. I do expect him to play some part in this game, maybe late on in the second half. It'll be interesting to see. I'm still not convinced of him. I know a lot of you like him. He had that 2-game cameo in and around the Mickey Mouse Cup final against Spurs. But outside of that, I haven't seen much to be impressed with, and his fitness leaves a lot to be desired at the moment, as his injury record isn't looking too good. Also, the key thing is how do Forest hold on in that first 20 minutes? What are the tactics going to be? Do we go for the throat? Do we go and put the final nail in the coffin on Moyes? Or will we show patience and wait and size the game out? So far, from the way Cooper has played, I think it will dictate that it's most likely that we're going to keep a tight ship and see how West Ham react for the first 20 to 30 minutes before we start to implement a full game plan into the game. I personally would like to see us go for an early goal and really get that crowd getting toxic. This one, I can't see Forest losing, if I'm honest with you. I can't. But I did predict we'd lose to Man City, and we didn't. So I'm now playing this whole psychological dilemma of what should I predict this game to be? Should I predict Forest to lose, which guarantees us the win? Should I predict a draw? I don't know. I'll give you what my heart is saying. My heart is saying it's quite easy to predict scorelines when it comes to Nottingham Forest. If we win, it's never a high-scoring match. And if we lose at the moment, it's not by much at all, 1 or 2 goals tops. Draw looks like the safe bet on this one. If you offered me a draw in this match and a win against Everton, 4 out of 6, I'd probably be very happy with that. But I want to predict a win, because the thought of getting 6 points over these next 2 games is so huge. and it really, really would change our season for the positive. So I'm going to predict a win, and I'm going with a 1-0, and I'm going to go with Felipe to score from a corner. Don't know. Let's see how it pans out. Get your predictions in down below. Don't forget, tonight, 7:30, is Wolverine versus Lawless. The language is going to be fruity, to say the least, so put the kids to bed, and we'll see you then. If you haven't already, please do hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We'll see you this evening for FFTV versus West Ham Fan TV. Come on, you Reds.